My sister-in-law announced her pregnancy on my wedding anniversary, knowing that I had been trying to get pregnant for a long time. I'm 27, and I haven't been able to get pregnant for a while. My husband and I have been trying to conceive for almost 8 months without success, and we've decided to get fertility tests in a few weeks. We didn't do it earlier because it felt scary, but now it seems like it's time. We've been together for 6 years and married for 3. I really want to be a mom, and everyone who knows me is aware that it's my biggest dream, to have a family of my own. My husband wants this with all his heart too, and we felt the timing was right. But nothing's working out, and it's starting to get frustrating. We've tried everything, from medications to home methods. The last couple of months, we've both been on edge. A few days ago, we threw a big party to celebrate our wedding anniversary, hoping to distract ourselves from everything. We went all out, but it ended up going completely the other way, all thanks to my lovely sister-in-law, Jenny, my husband's sister, 25 years old. A little about Jenny. A few months ago, she married her longtime boyfriend. The wedding was extravagant. She likes to show off a bit and acts like she's better than everyone else, but I've never had any issues with her, or with any of my husband's family for that matter. This was probably the first time we've had any conflict, and it really shook me. Jenny and I were never close friends, but we always got along. That incident at our anniversary changed everything, and now I'm not sure I can look at her or our family the same way again. For context, my husband's family didn't know we were trying for a baby. We had planned to tell them, but after several months of no success, we decided to wait until there was something to share. My parents didn't know either. I thought that was normal. A couple of my friends knew, but everyone has their own life and problems, so I didn't really turn to them for advice or complain about our struggles. About 4 or 5 days ago, Jenny came over with her husband. At one point, the men went out to the backyard. I mentioned something about fixing the irrigation system, and since Jenny's husband is handy, he offered to take a look. That left me alone in the room with Jenny. I tried to make small talk, but she immediately asked what was wrong, saying it was obvious I was upset. She wanted me to open up to her. I hesitated and tried to pretend everything was fine, but I guess I looked really down. That day, I had gotten yet another negative pregnancy test, and I wasn't hiding my emotions well. She insisted on knowing what was going on, and I decided to tell her the truth after she said she wanted to help. My husband and I had agreed not to tell anyone until we had good news, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. I was upset and on edge because nothing was working, and keeping it inside was only making things worse. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. Not even my husband. He was feeling the same way, and if I kept bringing it up, it just made things harder for both of us. So when Jenny asked, I told her we were trying to have a baby. I just needed to talk to someone. At the time, she seemed genuinely happy for us. She even hugged me and said she couldn't wait to be an aunt. Then I told her we'd been struggling and that it was taking a toll on us emotionally. That's why I looked so down that day. She seemed sympathetic and even offered to go with me to a fertility specialist who might be able to help. I thanked her for her kindness, though I didn't really need that. I just needed someone to talk to. And I was genuinely touched by how caring and empathetic she was. Our husbands were outside for about half an hour, and during that time, Jenny and I had a very open, heartfelt conversation. It felt good to talk to her, like she actually understood what I was going through and was trying to support me. When my husband came back and we had to change the subject, I already felt much lighter. As they were leaving, Jenny hugged me again, something she usually doesn't do, and it felt nice. For once, I felt like I had a friend I could talk to. After that, we didn't talk for a few days, until the day of our anniversary party 2 days ago. Even when she arrived, she was very sweet to me. She hugged me again and gave us a gift. I thought we were finally becoming real friends, but that didn't last long. We invited a lot of people to the party, his family, friends, mine too. It really helped distract us from all the baby stuff. We were laughing, joking, chatting, just having a good time. About an hour into the party, Jenny and her husband stepped into the center of the room and said they had an announcement. My husband looked at me confused, and I froze. I thought she was going to reveal what I had told her about our struggles to get pregnant. But what happened was even worse. Once everyone quieted down and turned to them, her husband announced that they had found out a week ago that they were expecting a baby, and in 9 months they'd be parents. Everyone started clapping and cheering for them. My husband's family rushed to congratulate them. Meanwhile, my husband and I stood in the corner, silent. Before I could even process what was happening, tears started pouring down my face. I ran to the bathroom. My husband followed when he saw me crying, but I didn't let him in. I just needed a few minutes to pull myself together and not create a scene in front of the guests. I was trying to understand what I had just heard. What was even happening? My husband stood outside the door saying everything would be okay, that we'd make it through this, that we'd have a baby too, it would just take time. And even if not, we'd find another way. But we'd go through it together. His words calmed me a bit, and I let him in. I told him Jenny knew how hard this has been for me. He didn't want to talk about it right then and said we'd discuss it later, that what mattered most was that I was okay. The rest could wait. We stood and hugged in silence for a few minutes, and that was enough to pull me out of my shock. When we returned to the living room, everyone had already finished congratulating. Jenny and the attention shifted back to us. It turned out everyone had been looking for us. When we showed up, they all stared. It was awful. I had just been crying, and it was obvious. I tried to compose myself, but my mascara was smudged badly, and I couldn't clean it up completely. As soon as people saw me, they started asking if I was okay. Everyone was very concerned. I knew I couldn't fool anyone, so I said I just felt a little overwhelmed and had gone to rest for a bit, but now I was fine. Weak excuse, but I had to say something. We even went up to Jenny and her husband to congratulate them. She looked upset, but didn't say anything. We continued the party. It wasn't easy, but I think my husband and I handled the situation with grace and restraint. Yes, I was overwhelmed with emotion after her announcement, but I didn't let it ruin the night or spoil the whole event. We only talked about everything after the guests left. I told him about the conversation I had with Jenny a few days ago. How I had opened up to her and admitted we were trying for a baby. That's why I felt it was at the very least inappropriate for her to announce her pregnancy at our anniversary party, knowing how much we were struggling and how hard we were trying to take our minds off it. My husband completely agreed. He said, even if I hadn't told Jenny about our situation, it was still wrong of her to make such an announcement at our wedding anniversary celebration. That day was supposed to be about us. Instead, she made it all about herself without even asking how we'd feel about it. And that was a fair point. As we talked, we realized that when Jenny had comforted me days before, she already knew she was pregnant. They found out a week before the party. So her decision to announce it at our celebration wasn't accidental. But we couldn't understand why she would do that, why she would deliberately hurt me like that. I never thought we were close, but I didn't think we were enemies either. My husband and I decided we needed to talk to Jenny. After that conversation, either things would go back to normal if she apologized, or we'd have to cut ties with her entirely. Yesterday, we planned to call her after work and talk about what happened at the party. But instead, his parents called and said we needed to come over for an urgent family meeting. We decided to take the day off and figure out what was going on. When we got to his parents' house, everyone was already there. His mom, dad, grandma, Jenny, and her husband. They all looked very serious. It felt like walking into a courtroom, where the jury had already reached a verdict. I said that Jenny knew exactly what we were going through and still chose to make that announcement. So if anyone should be held responsible, it's her, not us. She picked the wrong time and place to share that kind of news. Then everything turned into chaos. Jenny started arguing and playing the victim, saying she thought the news would make us happy and give us hope. It was a weak excuse, but she clung to it. Her parents supported her and said she just wanted to bring us some joy, and now we needed to move on and apologize for our behavior. Yelling started. At some point, his mother screamed at me, accusing me of stealing Jenny's big moment out of jealousy. She claimed I threw a tantrum and cried on purpose to get attention and sympathy from the guests. At the party, it was incredibly painful for me to hear what they said, and for my husband, too. He said that if they truly think that way about me, then maybe it's better if we cut all ties with them altogether. We left, and on the way home, we talked about everything they said and how brazen Jenny was, trying to portray herself as a victim, even though she was the one who ruined our happy day, and did it deliberately, for no reason at all. A couple of days later, Jenny sent my husband a message saying that she was hurt and upset by the way we acted. She claimed she just wanted to cheer us up with her news and never intended to hurt us. She also said she didn't think I would take it so hard and start crying just because she was pregnant. According to her, it was a joyous moment for everyone, not just for her, and she wanted to share that happiness with us. She said I ruined it all by misinterpreting her intentions. She wrote that she felt offended and even partly agreed with her mother, who said I stole the moment from her, because anniversaries happen every year, but you can only announce your first pregnancy once. So, in her opinion, I should have been happy for her and tried to understand why she did what she did, instead of being so selfish and only thinking about myself and my pain. I don't even know what to think about all this, which is why I want to ask, was I really so awful for crying and walking out of the room when my sister-in-law announced her pregnancy? Well, before we move on to the update, I suggest you pause the video right now and share your opinion in the comments. Personally, I think it's a complicated situation, as always. On one hand, Jenny didn't really do anything all that terrible. By making her announcement, some of her arguments even sound reasonable. I mean, she announced it, so what? All the family was gathered. It seemed like a good moment to say something like that. But in my opinion, Jenny was absolutely wrong in that she made no effort whatsoever to understand the other side. The author of the story is absolutely not to blame for crying. She has every right to feel emotions. How could she even control that? She actually walked away so as not to ruin the celebration for others. If the author felt extremely uncomfortable, then she had the right to. And if I were in Jenny's place, I would have understood that and apologized. I would have said, I really didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't mean anything bad by it, but since it turned out this way, I'm sorry. In the end, we all have our quirks and beliefs, and we have to compromise if we want to maintain relationships. It really doesn't seem like such a huge issue to me, especially considering that Jenny knew how deeply the author was struggling. First update. Hi everyone. I want to thank everyone who commented on my post and supported us. The stories of other women going through the same thing really helped me a lot. I just want to say that motherhood is a beautiful thing, and I will love my child, even if I can't get pregnant myself and we have to resort to surrogacy or adoption. That doesn't matter to us. What matters is that our child will be loved and cared for. Tomorrow we're getting tested, and we'll finally know what our next steps are. Wish us luck. As for my husband's family, nothing has changed so far. But thanks to all the comments, my husband and I finally realized that we are not the ones who should apologize. If they want to keep a relationship with us, then Jenny should be the one to apologize. Personally, I think everyone should apologize, because the way they accused us when we came to their house was just horrible. They had no right to speak to us like that, especially considering we were the ones who were hurt in that situation. Even now, remembering what they said makes me want to call them and tell them exactly what I think. They behaved disgustingly. My husband's parents haven't contacted us yet, but it's only been 2 days, so maybe they're just waiting for us to make the first move. I wasn't surprised that Jenny acted the way she did, but to be honest, I didn't expect her parents. to be just as arrogant and out of touch with reality. My husband was shocked too. According to him, they never acted this way before. They always treated him and Jenny equally. So this sudden shift in favor of their precious daughter was completely unexpected. Honestly, I think what really set them off was the fact that my husband ran to me instead of congratulating his sister. But that's just a theory. A lot of people also asked what my own parents said about all this. Honestly, not much. We're not especially close, unlike my husband and his family. They said what Jenny did was inappropriate and they expressed some sympathy. But that was about it. There wasn't much else to discuss. I told them everything the day after the party. They actually called me themselves. They saw that I had cried after Jenny's announcement. They comforted me a little and said they supported me, but I understand that those were just polite words. In reality, they're always busy with work and were never really present. That's how it's been, since I was a child. I don't hold it against them, but everything has consequences. Now that I'm an adult, I just don't feel a real emotional connection with them. That, by the way, is one of the reasons I want to become a mother so badly. I've always dreamed of having my own family, because I know I'll do it right. I don't hold a grudge against my parents anymore. It used to hurt, but now I'm used to it. I love them very much, and they love me too. But we don't have the kind of close family bond, and honestly, that's okay with me. Second update. Today, Jenny reached out to my husband. She called him while he was at work. He couldn't pick up, so she left a message saying she urgently wanted to talk. She said she'd wait for him near the office and invited him to get coffee after work. My husband was smarter than she thought. He forwarded her message to me. I went to meet him after work, and we went together to the coffee shop where Jenny was waiting. She made it very clear that she only wanted to talk to her brother, not to me. So she wasn't happy to see me, but she didn't say anything. We sat down, ordered coffee, and just sat there silently. We had already agreed that we wouldn't start the conversation. She invited us, so she should speak first. We sat in total silence for about 5 minutes. It was awkward. Then Jenny sighed irritably and said she apologized for what happened. But it was obvious she didn't mean it. She didn't even wait to see if we accepted her apology. Then she told us that after the family scandal, her husband finally realized that she never asked me for permission before making her announcement. Until then, he had believed that Jenny had talked to me about it in advance, because that's what she told him. But after that argument, he realized she had lied, and it made him uncomfortable. Apparently, he was the only person in that room with a conscience, the only one who actually saw what was really happening. The whole family had tried to convince the victims that it was their own fault. Of course, her husband was upset. When they got home, he asked Jenny directly whether she had lied to him, and he already knew the answer. Jenny admitted that yes, she hadn't asked me, and just assumed it wouldn't be a problem because her news was supposed to make everyone happy. She never expected me to cry. But her husband wasn't an idiot. He called her out, especially after learning that she already knew about my fertility struggles before making her announcement. So there was no sincere joy in her actions. She knew that her announcement would hurt me. After that, she and her husband had a serious fight. He accused her of deliberately announcing it at our celebration just to crush me. He said she knew exactly how much it would hurt, and she did it anyway. She lied to him about getting my consent, just so she'd have an excuse to ruin our evening. It was all intentional and calculated. Listening to her retell her husband's words was surprisingly satisfying, because finally someone had seen through her and understood what really happened. But she didn't come to us for that. It turned out that her husband told her he wouldn't speak to her again until we forgave her. He left that same day and hasn't come back, despite all her attempts to reach him. He's not answering her calls and made it clear that he won't talk to her until we forgive her. So now, out of desperation, she came to us, literally begging us to forgive her and tell her husband about it. My husband and I aren't particularly proud of what happened next, but honestly, it had to be done. We laughed in her face and told her she deserved it. Now she can deal with the consequences herself. She struck us in our most vulnerable spot while pretending to be a friend, and we're not going to accept her fake apology. My husband told her she could tell her husband that he's absolutely right to stay away, because someone capable of that kind of cruelty and heartlessness will make a terrible mother. She tried to play the pity card and started crying, but it didn't work, because when I was crying, she and her whole family didn't care one bit. So now, I don't owe them anything either. I've realized what place they hold in our lives, and it's time they realize it too. We went home satisfied. I have no idea what will happen to Jenny next, but honestly, I truly hope her husband files for divorce and gets full custody of the baby. Believe me, that would be the best outcome for the child. In the last update, we got the test results. Neither my husband nor I have fertility problems, so we just need to keep trying and not give up. Honestly, I felt a huge relief. I had already started thinking that something was wrong with us, so we'll keep trying. Now we'll try to stress less, because this should be a joy, not a torment. That was probably our mistake. Also, Jenny and her husband are now getting divorced. Apparently, they had issues before. And now, as far as I know, he's filing for full custody. Her parents, of course, blame everything on me and believe that I'm the reason for all their problems. My husband and I have completely cut contact with them and blocked them everywhere, so they can't reach us. We also informed all of my husband's relatives that we will no longer attend any events where they might be, and explained why. Most understood us and said they would invite only us, not them, because Jenny's behavior caused a very negative reaction in the rest of the family. Maybe I should feel sorry for them, but they brought it on themselves. My husband and I can't change anything. Well, the story ends here. I already shared my opinion, and I haven't really changed it while telling the story. The only thing I didn't quite like was the way these labels were put on Jenny, saying she would be an absolutely terrible mother. Overall, I think she said everything fairly. What do you think? I don't believe Jenny meant to deeply hurt, insult, or humiliate her, or to make her feel like a woman incapable of having children. I think she just wanted to pull all the attention to herself. And that's it. But the author reacted very strongly here. Well, maybe she had a right to cry, but still, they've been trying to conceive for only 8 months. That's honestly not much. It's within the normal range. Any doctor will tell you that trying for a year to have a baby is totally normal. So I think her problem is mostly in her head. She's too fixated on it, and that's why it's not working out. But does it really matter how long they've been trying to have a baby? What matters is what the author feels. If she feels like everything is terrible and she confided in Jenny before, then at the very least Jenny could have apologized, said, "Oh, I didn't know you felt that way." Yes, she had a right to cry, to react. That's normal. Jenny acted badly and rudely, like some teenage girl just trying to spite someone, but this whole situation could have been diffused. Jenny should have apologized, and the author should have accepted the apology. The parents acted totally inappropriately. They should have taken a neutral side and aimed to reconcile their children, well, their two families, not escalate everything to this absurd level. Honestly, the author in this story comes off as some angry, jealous woman who wants to become a mother so badly, but can't, and now seems to wish ill on this mother. She seems happy about the marriage falling apart, gloating even, which is not pretty. She wants her to lose custody. She literally says she'll be a terrible mother because of some dumb actions. Maybe Jenny just acted out of stupidity, but she's also stubborn here. She didn't even sincerely apologize. She couldn't. I agree. But many people can't do that. Admitting mistakes is really hard. Truly admitting it, apologizing, asking for forgiveness sincerely. People just push back, get defensive, and try to prove that they're actually the good guy in the story and you're the crazy one. I see what the author said, wishing harm on Jenny, as a cry from the soul. like a diary entry. It wasn't said to Jenny directly, but she does think that way, and maybe Jenny also wishes her harm. A mother would never wish for another mother to lose her child. That's a horrible thing to say. There's also the big question, which of them will actually be a better mom? Actually, yeah, I kind of agree with the line where she says, I want to have a child to be a better mother than my parents were to me. But I think each of us already has a built-in program from our parents. It only seems like we'll be better parents, but in reality, it'll probably turn out roughly the same. Overall, it seems like the author is trying to make herself look better than she really is. She's already describing her tears, this whole reaction, as if being a mom is her life's dream. Well, let's be honest. She's already 27, been married for 3 years, and in a relationship for 6 years. And you want to say you couldn't bring up the topic of pregnancy earlier? You couldn't have a child earlier? What were the circumstances? What circumstances? If this is her life's dream, what circumstances could stop her? She's not dreaming of a career. That's not mentioned here, so I won't assume things not said. To me, 27 years is already, well, by modern standards, it's fine, but honestly, it's already kind of late. At least by 24, 25, you could have started thinking about it. All right, looking forward to your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Check out our previous videos right here, and good luck.